What I realized, anywhere in the world I went,
Yeah.
people would follow.
Yeah.
And not just, anyone. Some of the smartest people in the world.
Wow, yeah.
People with intellectual capital, social capital, financial capital.
The TraderCobb Crypto Show, talking business in blockchain.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the TraderCobb Crypto Show. Today, my guest is Brock Pierce. Thank you so much for being here, mate. I really appreciate your time. He's a busy man. I just walked through the place with him, and he's just like flies attracting after him. Not that you smell. That's not what I'm getting at. Mate, what's going on?
Well, glad to be here in London. We just came off probably the most interesting panel.
Hands down.
That I think this industry's ever had.
Yep.
Craig Wright, Nouriel Roubini,
Yep.
Dr. Doom.
Yep.
Tone Vase.
Mr. Opinionated.
Bobby Lee.
I didn't know he had so much fire in his belly.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought Bobby was going to be the most
chilled out, right?
Chilled out of everybody, and I think he took the award for
Fire band.
more than Tone.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, he was definitely the most riled up. No, it was.
And then you sitting there just with a big smile on your face, just going, I don't want to really sit in the middle of this puncher. It was quite funny watching, but a really, really awesome event that was.
Well, I find that it's more effective to listen to people and to treat them with respect, even if you disagree.
Dude, we get along the same wavelength.
That we live in a world that's become too polarized.
Yeah, and everyone gets offended about everything.
Yeah, everyone's offended. The left won't talk to the right won't talk to the left, red versus blue.
Yep.
We're living in a polarized world where we no longer engage in civil discourse, where we can agree to disagree, but still treat each other with respect, to try and take the time to understand someone's perspective. And only when you treat them with that respect and take the time to understand their perspective, are they going to take the time to understand yours? And that's when we can make progress. That's when change, can happen.
Yep.
In a world where we're unwilling to engage each other, how are we ever going to find compromise?
Yeah.
How are we ever going to reach consensus?
Yeah.
And so, I'm a big advocate for it. I mean, it's back to maximalism, right? I'm not.
Yeah.
I view crypto maximalism very similar to religious fundamentalism. It's like, my religion's better than your religion. My coin's better than your coin. My chain's better than your chain. It's back to the willingness to respect and say that we don't have to agree, but let's
be cool anyway. Well, this is the thing, right? What I don't understand is with Bitcoin maximalism, right? With that whole everything else is a shit coin, blah blah blah. I like Tone Vase. He's a dude. I've hung out with him in Sydney. I like his time. We eat steak together because that's all he eats. And he's a nice enough guy. I don't agree with what he has to say about a lot of things. That doesn't mean we can't break bread and enjoy each other. But what I don't get...
Yeah, Nouriel and I are very friendly. Tone and I we've been friends since...
Forever, right?
Since he was still in banking.
Yeah.
Before he got officially into crypto.
So that's what I mean. We can agree to disagree and still go, let's have a beer, right?
Yeah.
What I don't get is with the Bitcoin maximalism, to be involved and to get into a space like Bitcoin, when Bitcoin was, in the early days, we didn't have all the other shitcoin type things, right? They're open-minded enough to see that in a world that was closed-minded to that, yet they're not open-minded enough to go beyond that and think that maybe there's something else special that's going to come from this. Why are maximalists there and so unwilling to move and consider someone else's view? I mean, what's your take on that?
Well, most of the maximalism, and it doesn't need to be Bitcoin.
Yeah, okay.
It can be anything.
Yep.
It's normally a financial bias.
Okay.
Normally, because that's the bag of
One
tokens.
I hold.
That's what you hold.
Yeah.
And therefore, you're mostly talking your book.
Yeah.
Versus, keeping an open mind.
Yep.
And saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the future holds. I don't know, what's going to win.
Yeah.
And there might be multiple winners.
Yeah.
And I don't want to close my mind to a potential future. It's the same reason I, gave, kind remarks to Craig Wright.
Yeah.
Craig might be right.
Yeah.
about Bitcoin SV.
Yep.
Bitcoin SV might end up being the better Bitcoin. Roger Ver might be right. Bitcoin Cash maybe end up being the better Bitcoin.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I hold all three.
Yeah. Hedge yourself across that.
Yeah, I believe in, hedging.
Yeah, yeah.
I know that I don't know.
Well, that's
and I'm willing to, keep an open mind. And again, Noriel's right about most of what he says.
Yeah.
Crypto is still in a prototype state.
Yep.
It doesn't scale for the most part. We're now starting to see the beginning of scaling, but he's right, it doesn't scale. It currently doesn't perform as a currency, but you heard at the very end, he did say that it's starting to do.
Yes, exactly.
And
he had room to
hold
move.
on, we've seen Noriel just in his talks.
Yeah.
He's starting to make progress, but that progress has come from people engaging him.
Yeah, and listening and respecting his views.
And as long as you're always fighting, you're not going to make progress with people.
Yeah,
compromises get made when you're willing to engage in respectable civil discourse, right?
I agree. So what's exciting you at the moment, Brock? I mean, I know you're doing a lot in Puerto Rico. I mean, you're doing a lot everywhere. You know what's going on in the space. You've been there for a long time. You've managed to keep a smile on your dial and have a pretty positive attitude, which I do respect that in a great deal. What's exciting you at the moment, right now? What is the most exciting thing that's going on in Brock's world?
Well, I mean, the Puerto Rico stuff is definitely what,
That's your driver.
Well, I mean, for me, it's a social experiment.
Yeah, okay.
What I realized is, like you said, flies.
Yeah.
What I realized, anywhere in the world I went, people would follow.
Yeah.
And not just, anyone. Some of the smartest people in the world.
Wow, yeah.
People with intellectual capital, social capital, financial capital, spiritual capital, and in not small numbers.
Yeah.
And so what I realized is everywhere I would go in the world, people would follow. Once I became aware of that realization, I then took it as a social responsibility.
Yeah, okay.
Which is, if people will follow me anywhere, let me try going somewhere that could benefit from that. Let me try going somewhere in the world that could use a little bit of help.
Yeah.
And so right after Hurricane Maria, as everybody else was leaving Puerto Rico, I said, I'm going to go move to Puerto Rico, and let's see if people will follow. And probably about 2,000 people have moved.
Sheesh.
So what was a social experiment, it's still early, but the early data is pretty compelling. And, a startup ecosystem is emerging, angel investors are showing up. I think we're going to start to see a real startup culture there, and it's not just limited to blockchain. I mean, this is,
I mean, when it comes to the startup blockchain, I mean, there's a lot of startup hubs that are trying to make a grab. What's going to make Puerto Rico a standout? Because it's got to be quick, it's got to be tax effective, it's got to have investors behind it.
Well, tax effective, I mean, most people don't know this. Puerto Rico, as an American, is like the only place you can live with 0% capital gains and 4% ordinary income. As an American, we get taxed on our worldwide income.
Oh,
if you're an American, if you're not living in Puerto Rico, well, this is how I pitch people. People, 2,000 people didn't come to Puerto Rico because I went there. I wish that it was that. No, of course not. What happens is I tell people, hey, we have an opportunity to make the world a better place, blah, 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 blah. I talk about Puerto Rico. I talk about the history. I talk about how they were the first state. That's not the 51st state, but the forgotten state. They could use a hand. And then at the end of the conversation, they're like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. I love that you're trying to make the world a better place, Brock. I'll come down and visit. I'm not sure about moving. And then, great, come visit. And I'm like, did I tell you about the taxes?
I'm there.
And they're like, yeah, exactly. They're like, I'm packing my bags.
Yeah.
Especially if you're into crypto.
Yeah, all right. Why especially?
Well, I mean, because in the United States, how we're taxed. We're taxed on every trade. Just your accounting, it's
a nightmare in Australia too, mate.
It's a nightmare. If you want to if you're a crypto trader, I don't know, and you're an American, I mean, you almost have to live in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Or you have to renounce your citizenship. I mean, otherwise, you don't realize how big of a nightmare you're in for.
I get that.
From a tax perspective, just to track every one of those short-term capital gains. Puerto Rico's the answer, and it's sunny 340 days a year. It makes Los Angeles looks shady.
The water's clear, beautiful people.
You got the
Atlantic
Atlantic Ocean. You've got the Caribbean. You've got the best surfing, on the entire East Coast. Oh, the best. Yeah, kiteboarding, crazy.
Is it crowded?
No,
not yet.
You've got the only tropical rainforest in the United States.
We've got to edit that bit out. We don't want it to get crowded, all right? I'm sick of crowded breaks.
Right now, it could use more. Well, the whole island has great surf. So, the amount of people that would have to move there to, occupy the surf.
So there's heaps of point breaks and ledges
It's the best surfing in the entire East Coast of the United States. World-class surfing, kiteboarding, everything.
Well, that's just got me halfway sold there.
It's paradise. And it's a real island with infrastructure. You can't compare it to any other part of the Caribbean. It's got 3 million people, and it's got military infrastructure because that's where the Navy was.
Right.
So you've got real roads. Some of it obviously was impacted by the hurricane, but you've got real infrastructure.
So what's the plan there? How many years are you talking to do what you want to do?
Well, I'm going to stay there until, it's on a good track. And then I will go somewhere else to be of service.
Yeah, okay. So it's basically spreading
the good word. As soon as something starts getting good, I'm gone.
Yeah.
I never get to experience, the good times.
It doesn't look like you're experiencing bad times, Brock.
Well,
Come on, let's be honest, brother.
Life is interesting. I'm very blessed. Very blessed.
Look, you make your own luck, my man. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for your time, Brock. Hey, you know where to find him. All over the world, all over Twitter. What's your handle? Just at Brock Pierce?
On Twitter at Brock Pierce. YouTube channel. You can find me at Brock Chain.
Anywhere else?
I'm on every platform. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook.
If you can't find him, you don't deserve him. Deal with it.
You can find me if you want to chat with me on Sense Chat. You download Sense Chat. It's a blockchain-based messenger. My handle is the Pied Piper.
Okay.
You can private message me there anytime.
Mate, pleasure. Thank you so much, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
The TraderCobb Crypto Show, talking business in blockchain.